Intelligent and industrious, highly skilled in medicine and technology, with a creative, innovative and visionary idea and an unorthodox way of thinking, able to set priorities, identify partners and bring to life their groundbreaking concepts and solutions that fight diseases and improve human happiness and well-being. Healthcare hackers for the greater good. Do you want to become one? EIT Health InnoStars presents real healthcare hackers, the winners of the EIT Health RIS Innovation Calls for 2019 and 2020. In this podcast series, they share their experiences, the opportunities they identified, and the challenges they had to overcome. Listen in.
Hi everyone, this is the first episode of Healthcare Hackers. My name is Andrew Wrobel and I have the pleasure to be your host. My guest today is Joana Silva, a biomedical researcher at Fraunhofer Portugal AICOS. Joana manages a project called FRADE, which stands for Pervasive Platform for Fall Risk Assessment. FRADE is the result of a partnership between Fraunhofer Portugal and the Higher School of Nursing of Porto, with the involvement of the University of Porto, which is an EIT Health Hub. Joana, welcome to Healthcare Hackers.
Hi Andrew. Thank you for the invitation.
All right, so let me start by asking what health issue you and your team identified and what solution you came up with to hack it.
Okay, the health issue is the incidence of falls in older population. The solution that we came up with focus on wearable technology to support the whole falls management cycle. So we start from the automatic detection of a fall incident, to the assessment of the risk of falling, to the prescription of physical exercise to prevent future falls.
And how did you identify this health issue in the first place?
We have a solid track record in developing mobile health solutions for the elderly population, and this project is focused on self-care pervasive technology. And as you know, the population is aging at a fast pace.
Yes.
So the negative health, social and economic effects that arise from the falls incidents will likely have an impact in the future societies. That's the reason why we should care for them now, and that's why and how our technology came up.
So how can elderly people benefit from your solution and what makes it so innovative?
So first of all, the automatic detection of falls will send an alert to a caregiver in case of an emergency to speed up the assistance and to decrease the negative effects of a late assistance to the elderly. And second, based on specific functional tests and questionnaires, the healthcare providers can objectively assess the risk profile of an elderly person and can prescribe them fall prevention exercises that will help to revert some specific fall risk factors. So the innovative aspect of our solution arise from the combination of these three technologies: the detection, the assessment, and the prevention of falls.
And how did you validate your solution to make sure that it's valuable and beneficial for elderly patients?
So, as I mentioned before, our society is aging, but we should act now to prevent the negative effects of this aging population. But then we also have this track record in developing technology that focused on self-care, pervasive and easy to use. And for that, we usually developed our technologies at Fraunhofer in a user-centered design perspective. And for that, we have a large users network of elderly daycare centers and retirement homes, where we recruit these participants to evaluate if our technologies fit their need.
And what were the results of the validation process? Can you share a bit of that with us?
Yes, for example, the way we design and produce the wearable device, the hardware itself, it has to go through a lot of usability tests with the elder users. So the way they will use the device in a daily basis, for example, will it be easy to place in the clothes, for example? And this is only one component. It's the wearable device itself. But then we have these software pieces like the mobile applications or the healthcare provider applications or the web portal for data visualization. All of these interfaces are developed and tested with the specific end users, either it is the elderly or it is the healthcare professional. So we have a team of colleagues that work in the Human Center department and help us to develop these interfaces and these components in a better way.
So after the validation process, did you have to make any adjustments to the solution?
Yes. It's always an iterative process. So in the beginning, we have this requirement gathering phase where we decide how should we develop specific components, and then we start to develop small prototypes, and then we went to focus groups or to usability tests with them when we have small prototypes for them to test. And there is also another phase in the beginning of the project that is that we need to collect specific data from the wearable device to develop the artificial intelligence algorithms. So most of the times we ask the participants to come to our facilities and to perform specific tests or exercises where we are able to collect this data in order to develop the algorithms. But sometimes our team also need to collect the data as being users of the technology.
So you've told us that you've been researching, how the process of aging impacts mobility for quite some time. Did you bump into any walls when doing the research, or did you have any eureka moments?
Yes, we had some obstacles along the way while we were developing the technology for the elderly. In the beginning, it was a bit difficult for us to know if the users will be able to use the technology in the way that we envision it. So we had a lot of testing phases during the development. And besides, as I mentioned, for collecting enough data for developing the algorithms, we had sometimes to be the users of the technology, and this is a challenge. And we had to fall a lot into matrices sometimes to collect lots and lots of data and activities of daily living, and also to practice several exercises.
So basically, young people have to be pretending to be elderly people sometimes.
Yes, the thing is, it's an ethical issue because we were not able to ask any elderly person to fall into a matrix to collect this data. So sometimes we had to do that too, and we had to bump into a lot of matrices, yes.
And what about those eureka moments?
Sometimes it's small accomplishments that we have during the development. And in the beginning, our perspective was not centered in any specific wearable. It was focused on the smartphone. And then our technology evolved, and now it's more focused on wearable. And I think this was an important transition from moving from one specific device to a device that allows the user to be always with it, and it can be used for several purposes. In this case, the person can use the wearable device continuously during the day to detect these moments of falls, but they can also use the same device and the same wearable to do specific exercises with the application on the tablet. And so I think in the perspective of the solution as a whole, this was an important phase.
I see. So working on such projects required a collaborative approach, and that of course means identifying the right partners, but it's also about partners that you get on well with, while building a consortium. I know that you've been working with your partners for quite some time. Can you share some of the experiences with us?
Yes, of course. This EIT project has a small consortium which integrates only Fraunhofer Portugal and the Higher School of Nursing, ESEP. So we have previously partnered with ESEP in a recent project that also focused on false technology as a case study for a medical device knowledge transfer network. And in this region of the north of Portugal, in Porto, we have this collaboration with local health schools and daycare institutions and also retirement homes that we have established in previous collaborations. However, we had also established previous collaborations in specific with a startup and a health school from Coimbra, in a national funded project when we developed the first prototypes of the assessment and prevention technologies. So we have a track record in these collaborations with other institutions, either they are health schools or companies or even end users, institutions.
Mm-hmm. And how did you communicate with these partners? I mean, how did you allocate tasks or responsibilities?
Yes, basically we communicate with them based on regular conference calls with our partner, and the roles of each one were previously defined in the project proposal. With each partner having its well-defined role in the project, the Fraunhofer AICOS, being an applied research center, will research and develop the technology solution and all its software and hardware components. And ESEP, being a health partner, will provide the technology's requirements, the recruitment of participants, and the supervision of the technology validation study.
And would you have any advice to startups or organizations that are looking to start a collaboration like that based on your experiences?
Yes, I think that this recipe of combining technology partner with a health partner is very fruitful, because we have a different perspective of the technology that they have, and they are closer to the needs of the end users. And also I think it's very valuable to include an end user institution in the consortium if it's possible. And one of the things that I learned from previous projects is that sometimes you need to speak the same language as your partners when you come from different backgrounds. Sometimes it's difficult to understand that your perspective is not the same that your partners, and you have to deal with that, and you have to try to speak the same language. I'm saying that because sometimes when you think that one specific component will work in a way that you were thinking of that in the beginning, and then when you put the technology in a real context, it may work in a different way. So I think all consortiums need to have a lot of discussions in the beginning of the project, and also during that development, like this iterative development process. I don't think there is a solution for that. You have to discuss all the way the development.
And at what stage of the development of the project are you right now? And when will the solution be available for patients to use?
Yes, we are in the middle to the final phase of the technology development now, and we will provide a wearable device with this integrated fall detection that will also be used with a mobile application for fall risk assessment and prevention exercises. But we also will provide a web portal for data visualization and supervision of the trials. So we have already submitted a study protocol for the ethical committee approval in the health school, and we hope that we are able to start the validation trials in October when the participants will be able to use the technology at their homes.
And when do you think elderly people will be able to access the technology and use it in their everyday life?
Yes, so this is a R&D project, and we are developing this solution. But then, in the end of the project, you need to have this commercialization phase, and in this case, we are not dedicated to commercialize the solution. What we do is we license our technology to a partner, to a company, for example, that can be able to sell the product to the end users. So in previous projects, we had this experience where we license our technology, the hardware and the software developments, to a company, and then that company is responsible for commercializing. So we are also trying to discuss this with our mentor from the EIT, but I think it's something that we have to work on.
Okay, and the last few months have been quite challenging for pretty much everyone because of the pandemic, and it must have been a challenge for you as well.
We are now facing a few challenges due to the pandemic because, in one end, we are facing several delays in the wearable production supply chain, since several raw materials are running out of stock and some companies went to lay off. And in the other end, we are not aware of how the pandemic situation will evolve in the upcoming months in the north region of Portugal, where the elderly participants will be recruited, and thus we cannot foresee the rate of participation of elderly population in the project's trials. So we are still concerned with that.
And how are you dealing with that? How are you getting ready for it?
Yes, for the production of the wearable, we have some previous versions that in our facilities that we are trying to use for the trials, but of course we needed to produce more. And for the recruitment of the participants, we have to discuss with our users network, because if we were not able to recruit the participants that we want, in specific, if we are not able to recruit participants with a higher risk of fall, for example, we have to recruit participants that are more active, for example, or that don't have a higher risk of fall, but we will try to recruit as much as participants as possible to have a validation trial.
So, looking at the entire project from the sort of from a now perspective, what advice would you give to researchers or startups or entrepreneurs who have a brilliant idea and would love to become the next healthcare hacker?
Our technology mindset and our innovative ideas are sometimes not aligned with what end users need the most, and without the user acceptance and the defined need of the technology, our product could be a very innovative solution, but is not useful for them in the end. So I think this is a must-have requirement to design and to develop and test with the users throughout the entire process.
Mm-hmm. And my final question, how would you define a healthcare hacker?
I would say that he's someone that has a brilliant idea for helping users to tackle specific problem in the healthcare sector, and in the end, that the users want to use the technology.
Perfect. Thank you, Joana. Thanks for all the insights and good luck with the project.
Thank you, Andrew.
This was Healthcare Hackers. Stay tuned to the next episode, subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. And don't forget to check out our EIT Health InnoStars website for more info about the EIT Health RIS innovation calls and other opportunities and stories.